going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be predicting the Cincinnati Bengals record for the upcoming NFL season. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get this one started. So as you guys already know, we're going to do the Cincinnati Bengals, and their first game to start off this season is at the Cleveland Browns. And so I predict that the Bengals will win this game. Although I think that once we do the Cleveland Browns one, which will be next video, so check that one out when it drops, I think that they are a heavily underrated team. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have not a breakout year because he already had that earlier on in his career, but more of a resurgence to his former glory. And I think that he's going to prove that he's a top quarterback in the league. And when our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks video drops, check that out, guys. You'll see where we ranked him. It's in the top 10. And, so I'm going to give this to the Bengals, though, just because the overwhelming people they have on the roster is just very smart. And I think that their offensive line is still not one of the best, but they have upgraded it with the likes of Orlando Brown Jr. and Alex Kappa, are two decent players in the O-line who are going to help Joe Burrow out. And next, week 2 is home against the Ravens. So early on, 2 divisional game, pivotal games. But I'm going to give this to the Bengals. Sorry for that one. And I just think that the Ravens, I'm lower on them. I think the Browns could potentially leapfrog them in the standings, meaning that the Browns could finish second in that division and the Ravens could finish third, but I don't really know yet. We'll see what happens with that. The Ravens are still a strong team, just not able to compete with the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think will be a Super Bowl contender this season. But, and this is a big but, it all hinges on the health of Joe Burrow. As you guys know, non-contact injury in training camp, calf injury I'm hearing, I think. So that's pretty dangerous for them. If he's not healthy, that's really, really, really not good. And that could really derail their entire season. But week 3, home game against the Rams. And then in that game, I think that they're going to win. Obviously, the Rams, kind of similar to I think what the Buccaneers did. They kind of went all out for a ring, like signing guys on 1-year deals. And now that they lost a lot of their talent, like Von Miller, guys like that kind of, Odell Beckham left. I think that they're going to slow down, not be as good as they were. Obviously they were terrible last year, but they lost a lot of draft capital, so it'll be difficult for them to get back up to the top because they sold a lot of picks to get these high-quality players, sell out to win a ring, and now they're pretty much at the bottom of the league, and they'll stay like that for a little while until they regain draft capital and get some guys to pretty much just reevaluate the team and come in and make them a better organization. And then, so that's going to be a win for the Bengals. Then week 4 is away at the Tennessee Titans, and this one is going to make the Bengals 4-0. And I just think that the Titans, the AFC South for a whole is a very weird division. You have teams like the Jaguars and Colts and Titans who all think are favorites or could win that division. I think the Jaguars will win that division. But, you got Titans and Colts, 2 teams there that I think the Titans have a better chance than the Colts. And Jonathan Taylor, very interesting situation with him. Obviously requested a trade. Do I think he'll hold out? Probably not. He'll probably play, but you don't know. Jim Irsay, very adamant that he will not trade away Jonathan Taylor. And I just think that the Titans are a team that they're going to have to win a lot of games to really compete for a playoff spot, and they're not going to be able to do that just this year. I think that they'll take a step back a bit. Well, kind of like a step forward and a step back at the same time. Almost like clicking 2 buttons at once and don't really do much because they're just a weird team, and I think they're going to lose this game. Then we have away at the Arizona Cardinals. Easy win. I'm not going to say anything about that. Check out our Cardinals video. That will be linked in the description. But, Then we have versus the Seattle Seahawks, which the Seahawks, I think, are an underrated team. And I expect them to, probably second place in that division, obviously because the Niners are there, and the Rams and Cardinals are going to be the last 2 teams, just 2 shithousery teams, really. And I think that the Seahawks I mean, if it was a home game, I would honestly say, you know what? Maybe Seahawks can get a win in a home game against the Bengals. Really screw up Joe Burrow early on the season if he's still not entirely healthy. But this one's going to go the Bengals because they are the home team in this one, and they just have a better roster all in all. I mean, I don't know how their defense is going to be able to handle Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and then in the run game, Joe Mixon, obviously. It's not going to work out at all. And so then we have at San Francisco 49ers, and I think after starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0, this could be the first game that the Cincinnati Bengals lose. And so when looking at this, right, I think that the offenses are very, very even. And if you, just the offenses are very even together because they both have star receivers. I mean, Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase, and obviously George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk also on that team, which help out in that game. But I think, and star running backs, not to mention, I mean, you have, for example, Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if you ever heard of him. And we just talked about Joe Mixon. But I think that the defense is what's going to set these teams apart in this one. And so, also, let's talk about Brock Purdy for a moment. As I'm looking at this right now, it says Trey Lance is third on the quarterback depth chart. I think he should be second. Brock Purdy was outstanding last year. I mean, for Mr. Irrelevant, really just outstanding quarterback. Should win over the starting job. And he's going to be a very good quarterback in the years to come. I have a lot of faith in him for his future. But again, as I really have the Niners depth chart in front of me, I'm reading it off right now. You look at their defense, Charvarius Ward is one player, and then Deshaun Gibson Jr., another safety, and Talona Hufanga are the safeties, and Charvarius Ward's a cornerback. I'm just reading the secondary first. And now we get to the really better players here. Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw are going to be the best players in the linebacking core, and Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave lead the defensive line. So I think in kind of a stance of the offenses are very, very even, but I like their defense a little better than the Bengals. Then you factor in a bit of home field advantage there. I think this is the one game that the Bengals might lose this season, but we'll see later on what happens in their schedule. Then we have a very, very tough game, home versus the Bills. And guys, we've already went over the Bills prediction. That will be linked below, as well as our Arizona Cardinals video. Those both will be linked in the description down below. But in our video, we gave some reasoning into why we think that the Bengals will win this game. And also, the home field advantage does help a little bit. But I think the Bills are a bit overrated. And even that video, I think I said that they had their shot to win it all. I mean, everything was falling right for them, but they couldn't get past the Chiefs, obviously. And those couple seasons where they could have won it, and now they're kind of taking a bit of a step back. Although they have a top 3 quarterback and a top 10 wide receiver. And I think that they should look into signing Dalvin Cook. That would help out their roster. But I think the Bengals, in my opinion, might go to the Super Bowl this year. And I don't know if the Bills will be able to beat them, even though 2 high-quality teams. Definitely a great Week 9 matchup to watch. Then versus the Texans at home. Do I have to say anything? It's a win for the Bengals. The second one, really, where I don't have to say anything. The Bengals will probably steamroll them in this one. Then we have away at the Baltimore Ravens. And this is one that could be a close game. But I think the Bengals get the season series sweep. And, just like I said earlier, the Bengals are probably Super Bowl contender. So when you have teams like the Baltimore Ravens who might barely sneak into the playoffs as a 6 or 5, 6, or 7 seed, they're not going to be able to compete with the Bengals, who are, in my opinion, probably the 2 or 3 seed this year, depending on what happens. But, even the Browns might be better than these Ravens. The Browns are going to be our next video, so I would love to see you guys check that out. I would love to really take a look at their schedule and see what I think of that one. But it's just the Bengals are just too good, really. And I think they have one loss so far. It's at the Niners. But now this game is home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, their first divisional matchup against the Steelers. And it's obviously probably going to be a win. I've talked a lot in previous videos about Najee Harris, how I thought it was a huge disappointment. I know one of my friends in Fantasy League had him 2 years in a row in fantasy football. First year as a rookie, sensational. Drafted him again. absolute bust, did really nothing at all. And it's not like he wasn't getting his opportunities, too. It's just a complete letdown, Najee Harris. And he wasn't doing the things he was doing before. He was just a complete letdown because he was still getting the same opportunities, just not the same results. And the rest of their team is just a little haywire. I mean, not too much quality in the receiving game, although they have a couple decent receivers like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, guys like that. And Kenny Pickett I hope he surprises me a little bit and proves to be a good quarterback. I expect good things from him in the future, but right now he's just not there yet. Up next on the schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals is an away game at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is even a game where I have a friend who's a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, and he will submit and probably say that the Bengals would win this game. Even though I think that earlier in this video I said that the Jags will probably win the AFC South, I still think the Bengals are obviously just better. Although I like the Jags a lot this season, I think that maybe they could upset a team or two in the playoffs. Ultimately, they can't compete with teams like the Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills, and things like that. Not yet, but they need a little more experience from guys like Trevor Lawrence. Maybe upgrade the defensive side of the ball. Maybe like some kind of Saxonville. I don't know. Bring stuff back like that. But, they still need more time to do stuff to get to be a top contender. But so this is going to be a win for the Bengals. Then we have home against the Colts. And regardless of the Jonathan Taylor situation, really, I think this will be a win for the Bengals. And there's not much to say. The Colts just aren't that good, really. Then we have home at the Vikings. And this one, I'd say, will be a victory for the Bengals. Just because, again, obviously I think the Vikings are going to take a step back this year. Because they won the division last year, and they'll probably win the division again. Just because there's a lack of really talent and really good, teams in the NFC North. But the Vikings are just, not mediocre, but they have Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, and they lost Dalvin Cook, which I think is a bigger loss than a lot of people say. And I don't know, I think the Vikings are going to take a step back this year, so win for the Bengals. Then we have away at the Steelers, same reasoning as before, win for the Bengals. Then we have at the Chiefs, and this is one I want to talk out for a while. I think that this is going to be a win for the Chiefs, but I'm going to say his prediction right now. It's going to be at Kansas City late in the season. Kansas City's going to win this game, and then it's going to come back, AFC Championship game, and the Bengals are going to win, probably in Arrowhead Stadium. But I think that they're going to lose this game. There are only 2 losses of the season against the Niners and Chiefs, but they'll come back in the AFC Championship game and win. Then obviously last game of the season, home against the Browns, and I think they'll end off the season on a good note with the win and end the season with the record of 15-2. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to share all our content with your friends to improve our channel. And thank you guys again for watching.